We're here today with Mark Darsow. Is that how we say it the right way?
Darsow.
Okay. Just want to make sure because
I get it both ways.
that doesn't matter, but it's your name. We'll
Yep.
get it right. Okay, Steve?
Right. Right,
Thanks.
Bill.
Thanks, Mark.
Oh, wait, Chris.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
And how long have you been actively drag racing?
I think I was thinking about that earlier. I think my first race I was probably late 70s.
Okay.
Home track back then was North Star Drag Strip back in Minneapolis.
So let's go back there.
Yeah.
So you're from Uftas,
I'm from Minneapolis area, yeah, the western suburbs.
and
And
you like the snow and the cold weather.
that's why I moved here. I couldn't handle that much anymore, and I hated shoveling. I hated getting cold cars, and I just needed to get out of Minneapolis.
When did you first know you had a passion for cars?
Probably when I was about 5, when my parents kept buying me models, car models and toys and stuff, and that just evolved. Maybe I got my interest up in that, and then through high school, I was working on cars. My dad helped my dad out in the garage, and after school, after high school, bought a couple cars, and
Was your dad a car guy?
he knew how to repair them.
You know how to get around them.
Yeah, but
Good.
as far as racing, no, he wasn't interested in racing at all.
So what was your first driver for high school?
I had a '63 Ford Falcon wagon.
Awesome. Don't you wish you had that car now?
I wish I would, yes.
That's cool.
And eventually that evolved into a '67 Mustang, and then a '64 Olds 442, and then a couple of '65s, and
All great cars.
yeah, I enjoyed them.
Where was the first drag race you went to?
I helped a friend of mine up at the auto parts store that I went to all the time. He had a front motor dragster, pretty rough, but I went with him to the North Star drag strip, and that got me hooked. And I said, I need one of those.
You knew that's what you wanted to have?
Not at that time, but I thought that was pretty cool. And I was driving body cars for a couple of years, and
So what was your first dragster? Because that's what everybody here recognizes you.
right. Actually, my first race car I had a '69 Olds 442.
Okay.
That's the one I first took down the track and learned how to race there. And then I went out to found a front motor car out in Indiana, Fort Wayne, and ended up buying that and learning, putting it took about a year and a half to put together. Learning that, though, I thought that was greatest learning experiences. A front motor car.
All this time, going to races, getting ready to go racing yourself. Did you have any like heroes in drag racing back then? Who some of you really like to go watch race, or you're a big fan of anybody?
Minneapolis area was full of the pro stock guys, the John Hagen and Warren Johnson and some guys like that. Went to the Nationals quite a bit, watched them. I like Joe Amato, Bernstein, Prudhomme. Watched a lot of that stuff.
The classics.
Yeah, the classic cars.
So, got your dragster running. And you're still back in Minnesota, right?
Right.
How long did you? What was your transition? I mean, how long did you race it back there before you decided to evacuate?
Yeah, I probably raced 4 or 5 years back in Minneapolis, predominantly North Star. Went out to Rock Falls, Wisconsin, Cedar Falls, Iowa, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Marion, Byron. That was about my tracks, but mostly Brainerd. I love that track.
So was it I mean, you're kind of like bridge just before Super Comp, and it kind of started back in the time you had your car. Did you end up running that car as a Super Comp car? Or?
Yeah, my front motor car when I bought it, that was the intention. Was NHRA was just coming out the first year with Super Comp, and I got the car done before the inaugural year of the Super Comp cars. So got that out, put it in a car show. Along with another good friend of mine, he's still racing too. So that was probably back in 78, 79.
How quick did that car end up going?
I went 850s, 860s with a front motor car with a little small motor, 317 cubic
Oh yeah,
inch.
yeah.
Originally bought it as a C Econo car, and there was no way I could do that. You can't compete going that slow.
Yeah, but you had an interest in it.
Yeah, I was, and I thought it was the best learning experience with the front motor car, sitting on the rear end. You could feel the rear end, you could feel the transmission, you could watch the tires smoke. It was a great way to learn how to drive a car. When you were out of control, you knew you were out of control, but driving a rear engine car, you don't know how you're out of control until you're actually there. Front motor car, you have a little more.
Until the drag strip is on the outside of the front wheels.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So I enjoyed that, and I ran that for probably 7-8 years total. Moved down here to Phoenix in '86. Took the car with me. First initial race was at Firebird. Did a little testing, tuning at some of the Friday nights and stuff before then.
What did you do to support your habit? What kind of work were you in?
I started out doing engineering. I actually went to school in Minneapolis, drafting school and engineering college. Once I graduated there, I said I need to get out of Minneapolis. Just cold. So it all came about. It was a good time to move. Let's go to Phoenix. My initial intention was California. I stopped here on the way out there, and Firebird was close, so it was neat to have a track that close. California, it was probably tough to park a car, have some place to put it, more or less go to a racetrack. They were shutting down a lot of the tracks back then.
So what year was it you actually moved to Arizona, that first race?
I moved here in '86. I
Yeah.
think the first race I ran at Firebird was probably the Nationals divisional races at '87. Actually, the first race I hear a runner-up. I ran Fred Harville in the finals.
Well, that's good. That's classic.
So yeah, it was a long time ago, but it was fun.
He was a good racer.
Yes, he was. And to come here with a Division 5 number on my car and very first race, runner-up, that was pretty good.
So you ran the car for a while, the front motor car here.
Right.
And then there was a decision made somewhere along the line that you wanted to sit in front of the engine instead of behind it.
I had a guy who fell in love with the car and wanted to trade me his rear engine car for it, and the rear engine car was a lot newer. That's when NHRA started making it hard to compete with the front motor cars with the requirements of either the fire suit or the containment, the cage. I think they were trying to be on the safer side, so they were trying to weed out, I think, the front motor cars, and they did. There's not many of them left. But I did stay with a small block, so I'm sort of the oddball still.
Well, that's what I was going to talk to you about. That, everybody at one point decided we're going to get a throttle stop or delay box, and we're going to delay the car and going to put a vehicle together that can run like 750s and delay it for a second and a half and
Yeah,
charge it down on the big end.
Yeah, the earlier throttle stops and delay boxes. Actually, developed a company in Minneapolis. We had a first working delay box with. Actually, that's when Mazir first came out with their box too. So we were working on a delay box that was actually a little more accurate, but that didn't pan out. Couldn't get enough financing to do it all. Had a couple different products to do, but we knew the throttle stop was part of the super gas, super street racing, and we tried to get into it right away, but that it didn't happen.
So all this time, you're still a small block guy.
Yep.
It's the same car or different car?
The first front motor, or the first rear engine car was, it was a Don Yates car that
Okay.
I got from a guy, and that was a pretty lightweight car. It was, I think I ran with the same motor. The car went like 3/10 quicker. Ran 810 with that car with a 331, and so that was a fun car. And then unfortunately it got wrecked at a accident out at Speed World.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was pretty not a good experience. But had another guy lose it in front of me and end up T-boning him and rolling and wrecking and upside down on fire and get air evac'd out. It wasn't fun.
That's the tough thing about chasing somebody down.
We,
You're going, way too quick to, sometimes to react if they come over in your lane all of a sudden.
There was that past the finish line. We
Oh.
went through the finish line pretty close to being the same.
Okay.
I don't even know who won. Did it matter? Both of us we were done. So it wrecked the cars pretty bad. My car ripped in half. His car was like broken in 3 or 4 parts.
So back to the drawing board.
Yeah. So doing what I was doing, engineering. I figured, well, I'm smart enough to do this. Let's build my own car. So built the jig, built the table, took some of the salvageable parts off my other car, which it wasn't much. Steering wheel, brake pedal assembly, and some of the rear end housing stuff. But jigged that all up and started laying tubing, built my own car. It took me, I started in 2000, I think I was done in 2002. I did not have the capabilities of doing a body. I brought that out to California, had Dave Tuttle do me a body on my car, and that's what I'm driving right now.
So
First time out with that car was in 2002.
you had one of my favorite people, all-time favorite people, help you with the car for a lot of years, Miles.
Yes, he was a great person,
And
I miss him a lot.
happy, just a happy guy. You drag racing and golf, he was happy.
We helped each other out a lot, and when he wasn't racing and I was, he'd help me, and when I wasn't racing, I would help him, and we got along pretty good. He was a pretty good craftsman and meticulous at what he did. We got along really well, and we became really, really good friends for a long time.
So Miles Sorensen, when did you meet him?
First time was out at Speed World. I saw him there with his son Larry, and I've never been down the track before. I figured I better go ask somebody how is the track, what it's like. So I saw he had a front motor car. I went and talked to him, and that had to be probably early '89. So
Oh, there was a lot of cow patties on the track early in the afternoon. And
yeah,
You had to watch out for what you're running over, and yeah.
that was it was a nice local track. It
Yeah.
was fun. I like Speed World.
Oh, it was definitely a sportsman's track.
Yeah,
You felt welcome and wanted, and
right.
we all had a lot of great times out there.
Yes, we did.
So, where have you raced with your car?
The front motor car I took out to Byron and Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Marion, Rock Falls, Brainerd, again down in Iowa. And when I came out here, I went to Amarillo once, been to Denver, been to all the Californias, Sonoma, Bakersfield, and Fontana, of course Pomona. Tried to do all the races. I did not get here before Beeline closed, so or when it was still open, so I never raced Beeline.
Right. So, the racing, you have a lot of heavy hitters in drag racing in Division 5. Just good racers, not,
Oh, yes.
So what was the difference between Division 5 and Division 7?
Didn't have to travel so far. Division 5, you had to, if you were going to be competitive, you had to go from Minneapolis, Minnesota area to Denver, just to make the Division 5 stuff, and even farther south. Come to Arizona Division 7, it's basically Arizona, California, Nevada. If you wanted to go a couple other places, you could, but
Was the competition any different?
I at first thought it was Division 5 was tougher, but I actually, once I got to know Division 7, there's a lot of good racers in Division 7.
The way of racing might have been a little bit different, or their strategies. And
Division 7, I think they were the first ones to come out with a different tree. So it was a little bit different than the Division 5, and most of the divisions eventually adapted to the Division 7 pro tree stuff.
So, you've been around. You've gone down the track many, many times.
Thousands, yeah.
What are your best memories?
The most recent ones are winning a couple big races down in Tucson. It was a $10,000 to win one of the Chris Forsyth races, the West Coast bracket stuff. Won the Super Comp, Arizona Super Comp Association a couple times. Had some good races, won some money. A lot of other better racers, but I think I've done fairly well for what I have and what I can do.
So when you're out there running, you have your small block, and I'm sure it's healthy. It'll run a good number.
It does.
But still, up against psychologically all these people, all the big blocks, all the everything they have on them. Do they ever say anything to you, or are they?
No, they think it's sort of neat, sort of sticking with what I have and what I know. It's sort of being not only the small block, but the injected alcohol. A lot of people told me you can't throttle stop an injected car, and I proved them wrong. I run my car different than some of the big block cars. They got the power to run the car, shift on the stop, and then come back on.
Mm-hmm.
They're already in second gear. I don't do that with my car. So I run a little bit different there. I also am probably the last racer that doesn't have an automatic shifter in the car. I still manually shift my car.
How dare you?
I know. That's sort of my, if I know I was late on the line, I can run it out a little more in first gear and try to break the other guy out. I give away a little of my secrets here, but.
Well, Mark, I've known you for quite a while, and I've watched you race, and I will absolutely say you do it differently, and you look like you have a great time doing it.
I do. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it anymore. And someday I'm going to get to the point where either I don't enjoy it or I can't afford it. Don't know which one's going to come first, but.
So along the way, did you have any sponsors or anybody that helped you out? Certain times you want to talk about, or?
I had some friends who helped me out as far as going with me all the time, and but I had Hooters for a sponsor for probably 6 years. They helped us out a little bit, not what I would have liked, but they went a different direction, and they stopped sponsoring racing altogether. So once I got out of that, I haven't really had anybody to sponsor, just my pocketbook.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
To keep up with a sponsor if you're going to do it, and to go get them and to keep them happy. And
yeah, they were pretty happy. They came to the track quite a few times and brought the girls and brought some food, and we had some good times with them. And got to meet a lot of people. That's a sort of neat thing. When you're in this deal, you meet some really neat people. Have the opportunities to hang out with some of the professionals.
When you're not drag racing, what do you like to do?
Oh, I'm not sure yet. I haven't thought that far ahead. I would like to go help somebody once I realize that I wouldn't be able to drive anymore or can't afford to go drive. I'd like to help somebody else, maybe a younger kid, get him into this, get somebody involved and help them out.
Mentor somebody else into it. Yeah.
And the kids that are growing up right now are just fantastic. Just with Kylie Mazeris winning
US
in
Nationals.
Indy,
Yeah.
she's young. She grew up. There's a lot of good racers start out in juniors and work their way up. And
No, that was a big deal.
yeah,
She was,
Yeah,
I watched the interview, afterwards, and she knew what she won. She knew how big it was.
Oh,
For being
big.
as young as she is, she knew
Yeah.
exactly how big of a deal that was, and she amazes me. She's a great person.
Yeah, she is. So I think I'd like to do that. Maybe help somebody else out. And going to have a lot of parts. Does anybody want small block parts anymore? It's going to be tough. Car's pretty decent, but it's 20 plus years old now. I still keep it updated. Try to keep everything fresh and good.
Well, you have to. With an NHRA car, you take a couple years off, then the cost of getting it all updated again.
Oh yeah, just new belts this year and a couple other things I had to put on there, and it's constant money. It doesn't stop.
Well, You've inspired a lot of people. You're just a lot of fun to race and watch race. I'm glad you had a chance to visit with us today. Is there anything else you want to leave?
Oh,
Parting words with?
I'd just like to thank all the other racers that we race with. They're good friends. I've developed there's a good community of people out there, and we've all become friends, and we help each other out. I don't know if you could ask for a better bunch of people. As far as racers go, it doesn't matter who you are, what you do. We all get along, and if we compete against each other, we both give them heck and try our best, and if we win, we win. We lose, we lose. But we always hope to win.
It's a great thing about drag racing.
Yeah, and they're friends after. You can go sit down and have a soda or beer with them and have some fun.
Well, Mark Darsow,
Correct?
thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Chris.
And thanks for sharing your legendary story. You are an Arizona drag racing legend, by the way, of Division 5. But we won't hold that against you. You've been here longer than you were there racing.
I've been here 38 years.
Yeah.
So I think this is my home.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you. Glad you joined us, and you have a great day.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Bill.